Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is the Warrior RX4 Pro Plus Jock review. So I've worn this Jock since it's come out. I've worn it quite a lot. This is also my third generation Warrior Jock. I have the other one right here, which was the X Pro, and then I had one, I think it was the G2 or something originally, or maybe it was just the Warrior Ritual one originally, which is kind of same design. I really didn't have to buy this newer one, but I use this one so much. You could see kind of the outer layer of foams peeling on it, and some of the straps were definitely baconed, and I really had to crank them down to be tighter. So I figured I got enough use out of this. I got like 4 years out of this thing that I might as well buy the new one and rock the new one, because it's a great Jock and I get a ton of use of it, and it's not bad to have a backup. So I've used this enough, and I'm going to review it because there are some things that are a bit different on this one that I think Warrior maybe should change, but I'm going to talk about it overall for protection and everything, and why I think this is one of the best designs for Jocks that is out there. So before we jump into anything, if you have any experience with Warrior Jocks or any company's Jocks and you have suggestions of what Jocks to check out, make sure you leave a comment below. Maybe I'll look into another pair just to test it out compared to my favorite ones. Well, I've been wearing this brand forever. I don't really feel a need to change. If people want to see me review a specific one, maybe I'll take a look at it and test it out and share my thoughts on it. And you want to support the channel, and you need a base layer and a protective, kind of supportive base layer that helps protect your growing as well as your hips. Check out the Core-Tech. This is the Pro 1.0 pant, so this one is not quite as restrictive, and this is kind of tight right here in this X pattern. You might have seen these as Under Armour before, or Bauer for the hockey specific ones. There's also the Core 3.0, which is a lot stiffer, as you can see. Really helps protect my growing and keeping it kind of in place and make sure it doesn't overstretch itself. There's a discount code, and you click the link in the description. Use that discount code to get a discount off, help support myself, as well as get you some pretty awesome base layer pants that really do help with injury prevention and help stabilize your core while playing. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel and you don't want to buy anything hockey related, you can check out the links in the description to buy me a coffee. Anything that goes through any of the links always comes back into my channel, so I can make more content and do more videos. So overall, these two Jocks are pretty similar with each other. I really like what Warrior did on this outer tab to make it more of like kind of a Gen Pro like material here. This one was also Gen Pro, but just however they did this made it work better for me. So you can see how it's still kind of pushed outwards and bowed outwards. And then this is for your chest protector, so when you wear it, the chest protector kind of folds in like this. With this other one, it just kind of got crushed in there, so I don't really know what they did differently. This one feels a lot thinner to the touch than what this one was, to be honest, but this one just wanted to fold over itself. So eventually it kind of went like this, and it wouldn't really sit the way it was supposed to, but it's not a huge deal. It was just kind of a nice change with that too. I think the outer materials here are the same or really close to it. It's still kind of dense when you hit it, but it looks like it's definitely holding up better than this one. This one does have a couple more years of use on it, so really I can't quite say yet on that because this thing was so old and so used. But overall, you can see the shape of the RX4 Pro Plus, which is this one on my right. The black one is just overall in better condition for it. Yes, it's been used less, but all this stuff right here is kind of holding up better, and it just feels like everything on here is just holding up slightly better too. There was no real issues with this whatsoever in terms of how it actually worked or played. It was just really used for a long time. Now, one of the things I'm slightly disappointed on, but really it's not the end of the world, and they kind of replace it. This was their Silver Shield, I believe it was called. Fantastic material, really nice to the touch. You can kind of see it on all the corner pieces and on the inner liner. And they remove Silver Shield and do Polygene, which is not quite as soft to the touch, but it works very well and it's totally fine. But I would be completely lying to say that I don't miss Silver Shield. It's just such a nice and soft material, and the new one is fine. It just feels like a normal kind of nylon stuff in there, and Polygene is supposed to make it so it doesn't smell as bad. And Silver Shield was kind of the same idea, and it was just felt like a nice material, and Warrior's kind of gone away from it everywhere. I loved it on their old gloves, I loved it on their liners, and I liked it here as well. It was gone. It still works the same way and kind of does the same thing, but I just liked the older kind of liner a bit better. Pulling this out, you can kind of see this inner kind of cup piece, same as on the other one. You can take this out and wash it if you want to, which is a nice piece because this is the part that's really touching your areas and probably the most sweaty of all besides this part up here. So it is nice that you can wash that out pretty easily. Another awesome piece that they've continued is this kind of corner piece, and I can't remember what they call it. Basically, this is a really soft material, and you can see it's just all really nice foam. So when it cuts up in between your growing and in between your leg and your crotch area, this is really soft and doesn't really cut in there. It's very nice and padded. It is absolutely fantastic. It's actually better than this. This one had a seam. You can kind of feel it when you're touching it right here. It feels like it has a seam on the inside that you could notice more. And while this silver shield I feel is nicer, the actual design of this is not as good as what the new one is. It's just a totally plush, really nice foam, and that seam on the inside is totally gone. So huge props to that. It's a small little change, but it's really, really nice to feel and touch. So it's awesome for that. Now their cup system and kind of how this sits on you is kind of unique because you don't really need a double cup with these. Has this outer cup right here and then has this big inner cup, and it's always just really worked well with me. I have been uncomfortable on a total of 1 shot, and this one I think this would like 4 years straight of use without feeling one at all. So you really have to get one that doesn't hit the right spot for this, and you don't really need a double cup with this. If you want a double cup you can, but really I never found the need to it, and it kind of latches on perfectly and kind of sits really nice with this floating piece. So protection on this is great. Not doing a puck machine test on this for a Jock. Trust me on this, I've used it enough that I have experience enough for shots, and I'm a huge fan of how this plays and works. Now, one of the pieces that is really nice is on this, and why I really like it a lot, because with these corner pieces being so soft, I really crank my Jock really tight against myself. So when I'm trying to do the splits, I can't quite do the splits anymore, and I'm really stretching out, and sometimes when you do that you kind of land on your Jock. It's not comfortable. Even with this it's not comfortable, but with this padded piece it makes it a bit better. And being able to really crank this with the straps down here as well to really pull this in tight, really make sure that it doesn't kind of float around on things, so things can get squished or crushed when going down, and so everything kind of stays in this pocket more. And it's an excellent feature in design, and I'm a huge fan of it. I brought these core shorts out here because I have been wearing core shorts as a goalie because of growing issues or hamstring issues, and they kind of flatten everything out, which makes it harder to kind of get a Jock around things to make sure it doesn't float on top, get caught in the way. Any compression pant is kind of going to do this. Core short is an extreme to it, especially this 3.0 version, which has this really tight band for a lot of support and stability. So when you actually put these on, everything just gets flattened and smushed. And with kind of traditional style Jocks, I find that it kind of floats over top of things, so you can kind of get a round part getting kind of squished here, which you don't want. With this cup and with how you can tighten these individual pieces a lot more, I can just tighten that a lot tighter than I normally would. So you would simply undo that and pull it farther over to make it really tight and really snug, and it feels fantastic for that, and really kind of locking everything down to ensure that you don't accidentally crush yourself when moving, and so the Jock doesn't shift anywhere. So I'm a massive fan of that. I also very much like this tucking piece. Generally I don't have massive chest protectors. I know a lot of people kind of upsize on chest. I don't. I wear a large for the Warrior one and a large for the CCM. I think it ends up being a fit 3. And I also wore kind of a large for Kineski. Kineski was the biggest one I had a problem with because it had kind of a bottom piece. This does get in the way of that, but it's more of a chest issue because that one wanted to be more untucked. The way it kind of slats down, it works decently well, and it kind of just moves itself a little bit out of the way. I have noticed if I had those bottom pieces for the Warrior chest that it would get in the way more. I took those out and it works a lot better with it. If it was kind of like tighter on your body, I feel like it would almost work better, just because even though it kind of opens up and it's supposed to kind of go flat against things, I do notice that chest hit this a bit, and I don't think I would really change this all that much. I just feel like if there's a way they could really wrap this, you almost need a band across it, like the top piece, totally around your waist to lay it flat to allow a chest to kind of go over top. But it just doesn't work perfectly. I think this is probably the best implementation you can get of it, and I don't really see of a better way to do it, to be honest. It's just a thing I noticed with certain chests, that this piece being that flat piece kind of did end up being a kind of a weird surface and kind of a landing platform for the chest could hit it. It's doing its job trying to push it down. It's just I noticed the chest was hitting it. It's more of a chest integration issue, and the chest protector being too long itself. Adjusted that, there's no issues, and it's totally fine, but something to be wary of. The other thing to be wary of is how massive these things are. As you can see, they are very thick. So if you're bigger in nature and you're already in tight pants, this might be a bit of a squeeze. I had Vaughn Pro Return pants. They were, I think, a fit 3, and I just simply could barely get into them with this, and it felt like it was ripping the seams at all times. And you can definitely see the inner kind of stretch part of pants in the growing area and the crotch area really stretching out with these things on, because they are pretty bulky. You look at the different competitors and they're usually like that thick compared to what this thing is. So it's bulky, but it's protective and it works. So keep that in mind when you're actually trying on pants. Definitely bring your Jock in and try it. Make sure it works for you, because sometimes if they're a little tight in that area, it makes it a little harder to work with. Very much love these little connecting pieces right here. Now, one, this can be used to pull up your jock, which I'm a fan of. The other thing, I think it can be used to tie it into a chest or into pants if you really wanted to. I've always just used it to pull up if I needed it, and I've been an absolutely huge fan of Warrior adding these little tabs on pieces. You can just make things interconnect better to kind of hold things up better. And if you really wanted to, because this has a tab right here, you could easily do like a skate lace coming down here to attach to knee guards, to hold up knee guards. So a fantastic idea there. I don't think I've ever seen Warrior kind of integrating garter belts to anything, but these are kind of already in here. So if Warrior really kind of wanted to be crazy, you could sell garter belt attachment type things that just connect to here, come down and attach to your knee guards to hold them up. I use a separate garter belt to hold my socks and knee guards up, but this would be very useful. And I like that it's in there. Very easy thing to do, just tie things to it, even though that's not its main purpose, but I'm a fan of it. Now opening up the jock piece, you have a little Velcro connection part right there, and you have the inner cup, which is just a plastic cup, and it's pretty solid overall, to be honest. Like, you can flex it a little bit, but it doesn't go all that much, and it's pretty solid. And I've had, like I mentioned, zero issues with this, especially with that outer layer doing most of the protection pieces, and then that inner cup protecting everything else that gets through. Now, my one complaint about this jock, and I didn't have that issue at all with this one, which was kind of surprising, but it is also something I wish Warrior did slightly differently. On this one, I'm having issues with the actual liner right here coming off. With the actual Velcro pieces, you can see this right here. The stitching kind of just came straight off of this air knit. So I'm not sure if I happened to get one of the threads with the Velcro and it just yanked it out, and it's happening more on this side and a little bit on this side. You can see that piece coming off here. That is a disappointing part to it. I wish Warrior did a whole Velcro piece here, so all of this down here was also Velcro all the way through. The reason being is I like how you can overlap these on here, and that's kind of the purpose. Is this is a double-sided Velcro, so you can undo that bottom piece right here for the legs and undo that if you want, and only undo that, and then kind of attach it up and adjust it to wherever you wanted it to. I wish that whole piece was Velcro, because I've often found that the perfect attachment point would be kind of down here and not on here. So if it was kind of on this area and angle, just ends up working better than if it has to come up over here. Just ends up working better between my legs and like following the contours of my legs versus kind of coming up and on an angle, because it kind of goes and then has to jut inwards. So I really wish this whole section right here was Velcro on there, and that way this hopefully wouldn't come off as well, so you get some extra life on that. I could simply sew this down myself, and if this comes off even more, I probably will end up doing that. I also wish both sides of these were attachable Velcro, because there has been times, especially when I'm wearing those core shorts and I need it really tight, to kind of put it over the other one like that, and it doesn't really work. So I kind of have to finagle both of these, one under the other, and kind of attach it that way. So I do just kind of wish that these had the soft Velcro side so they could be attached on top of each other as well. And then once these start baking out, you can see a little bit on these, but they're still pretty good overall. Then you could attach them on each other as well and have that going for them too. Overall, I absolutely love this jock. I will continue to support Warrior for the jocks. I think they're one of the best in the industry, to be honest. Their accessories are honestly pretty fantastic. These and their knee guards are really good, which I'll do a review of in the future. But this is a really solid piece of equipment that I always recommend. I've never had issues with double cups. I've never had issues with pinching. Never had real issues with landing on either. It does a pretty solid job of kind of keeping everything where it should be and landing it, being nice and comfortable, as well as super protective and padded. Really, your only issues are bulk and a little bit of chest interference, but that is more of a chest issue and sizing issue on that. Get that dialed in, which I have, and you don't really have any issues. That's about it for this review. Thank you very much for watching it. Hopefully it was helpful. If this review was helpful, please reach out to Warrior on social media. Let them know that Hockey Reviews content and their reviews of their products are helpful and you want to see more of them. Helps me get on the radar, so hopefully I can make more content like this in future equipment that they do. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like this video, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Links are in the description. If you want to support the channel and you're buying hockey equipment anyways, check out links in the description. If you're in Canada, it's Hockey Supremacy. If you're in the US, to Pure Hockey. Clicking those links, making a purchase gives me a kickback, so I keep making more content and doing more reviews. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel without buying anything hockey related, check out the link in the description too. Buy me a coffee and Patreon. Everything through any of those links always comes back into the channel, so I can keep making more content and doing more videos. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.